From News Channel 8, this is Federal News Today.
Iraq and Afghanistan veterans from across the country are in town as part of an annual event. It's called Storm the Hill. The purpose? Meeting with Capitol Hill lawmakers about what challenges war vets are facing today. Here to talk more about the effort is Tom Tarantino. He's a legislative associate for the Iraq and Afghanistan Veterans of America. He's also an Iraq war veteran himself. In fact, Tom was awarded the Bronze Star for his service in Iraq. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Mike.
So, ironically, you scheduled this event, Storm the Hill, the same week as this massive blizzard. How did that affect your plans?
Yeah, it was kind of an unfortunate name choice. I guess we wanted a little less storm, a little more hill. But actually, it affected the plans a little bit in the sense that we had to adapt, improvise, and overcome. Monday, when we were looking at starting our meetings, we just took a look outside and said, you know what? Fortune favors the bold. You can shut down the government, but you can't shut down veterans.
And how many people got into town?
Everybody who we had coming got into town. I think there might have been 2 or 3 that were going to spend a day or 2 in the beginning. Didn't end up coming out, but everyone we had for the full week showed up. Some guys came from California, spent about 24 hours.
Wow.
Just planes, trains, automobiles, cars, everything, but everyone got in safely.
Well, let's get to the topic of your meetings. What is the IAVA, and why did you organize this event this week?
Well, IAVA is the first and largest nonpartisan nonprofit advocacy and education group for veterans of Iraq and Afghanistan. And every year around this time, we go to Congress to reintroduce ourselves, talk about our legislative priorities, and let them know what our #1 priority is going to be for that year. What are the big ticket items that we're going to work with? And this year, we've gotten together with the other veteran service organizations, the Disabled American Veterans, American Legion, the VFW, to talk about reforming the VA disability claims process. We have a really great opportunity to make sure that veterans' benefits are modern, they're fair, and they're timely.
What would you say is the biggest misunderstanding in the civilian world, or even in the military world, about how veterans' benefits work?
Well, most people look at the federal government and they see their taxes. You file your taxes, you get a check in 3 weeks. They see Social Security. That system is pretty efficient. What they don't understand is that the VA system is still largely paper-based. It's pretty much the same system that they've been working with since Vietnam. Now, the VA has made a lot of steps in the last 2 years to improve the system, and there's a lot of things that are happening, but we want to work with Congress, with the VA, and with the other veteran service organizations to push those reforms through so that veterans can get timely and meaningful benefits.
President Obama in his campaign talked a lot about veterans, and his wife now has a big platform helping families of military and service members. Have you seen any improvements in terms of Veterans Affairs since President Obama took office?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's been a 20% increase in funding for the VA in the last 2 years. This year was absolutely historic. The president has made it a priority to modernize the VA and to transform the VA. You know, Secretary Shinseki, I think, is really the right man for the job, and he has one of my favorite sayings from when he was a general, was that if you dislike transformation, you will like obsolescence even less. And that's really the theme that what we're seeing inside the VA. It's a slow process. It's the second largest agency in the federal government, so it's kind of like steering a battleship in a canal. It's going to take a while, but if we all come together and start putting good ideas on the table, I really think we have an opportunity to take the VA into the next century.
Let's talk about the legislative agenda that you all have for 2010. What priorities have you set out for this year?
Well, we have about 5 that we've identified. Things like streamlining the post-9/11 GI Bill, making that and making those benefits work a little bit better for veterans. We're talking about finishing the work that Congress started last year with female health care legislation for veterans. We want them to conference that bill and get it to the president as soon as possible. We're also talking about jobs. How do we get veterans jobs? How do we make their vocational skills from the military translate into the civilian skills? And of course, our #1 priority is reforming the disability claims process, making that system work for veterans and work for everybody.
Do you think that the world today, what we know about mental effects of war and PTSD and TBI, that it's changing for veterans and the way we respond to them?
It is. It's changing slowly, and that is also another one of our major priorities, is eradicating the stigma that we have against mental health injuries. You know, these are wounds. There's nothing wrong with you. You're not having a problem. You're injured. If you got shot on the battlefield, you wouldn't walk around with a bullet hole in your chest. You go to a medic, you get the bullet out, and get it patched up, and you'd move on. We need to take that mindset and we need to attach that to mental health wounds. These things are treatable, and you have to get treatment soon and often, and you can come back and get in the fight.
Tom Tarantino, thanks for your time tonight.
Thanks for having me, Mike.